so Doc, just talk about, Cumberland Run's going to open in Corbin, a third track on the Kentucky circuit, the importance of that for the harness racing circuit in Kentucky.
I think it's really important for us going forward. We lost Pompano Park, which was the winter capital of harness racing. So basically after the Red Mile in years past, everybody went to Florida. And I think that dynamic's going to change. And having a new track here that has race dates going into the winter is going to give people more racing opportunities. And of course, things are so good in Kentucky right now relative to the amount of money you can race for, the Sire Stakes program. It's just huge that we've got one more place to go race, and hopefully if things are successful, they'll want to have more racing and maybe even be the new winter capital of harness racing. $8,000 is a great base purse because you're racing relatively inexpensive horses. You can get into harness racing and buy a $5,000 horse, so it's not a big investment there. Our overhead's a little bit lower than, say, thoroughbred racing, so the cost of keeping horses is a little bit lower. And if you race a harness horse, usually they race on 7-day increments. So we're looking at racing a horse 3 or 4 times in a month. You're really racing for $24,000 or $32,000 over the course of a month. You can make a lot of money.
Does that compare with, say, other tracks in the Midwest?
I'd say
Hoosier and Hawthorne now?
It makes us competitive. I'm sure that that's better than Hawthorne, and it's definitely better than the bottom at Hoosier. So I think you're going to attract outside people from outside the state, bringing them in. They bring their money, they buy local feed, they use the local veterinarian, they do all that, local shoer, all that kind of good stuff.
Work in both sports, harness and thoroughbreds. Talk about for somebody maybe that's a horse enthusiast, maybe thinking about horse ownership, the advantages of starting out in harness racing.
The advantages of starting out with harness racing are really great, that you could claim a horse or buy a horse this week and you can race them in a week's time. So there's the potential for an instant dividend. Similarly, if the horse race is bad, which happens all the time, it's only 1 week until we get another chance to go out there and be a champion. So that's one of the things about harness racing that is so great. And the horses are very predictable because they race a mile. You don't have to wait for, say you have a horse that has a long distance pedigree, and you're waiting at Churchill Downs for a race to go a mile and an eighth, and the race never comes up. Here, that race for a mile, it's coming up next week. We're good.